not the call of the wild, but it brings together a pack of people who are just wild about Canis familiaris, the domestic dog.
Well, the dogs all held a meeting and they came from near and far, and some they came by horse and cart and some by motor car.
The first dog shows were in English pubs in the 19th century. One dog was pitted against another, sometimes to the death. From such sordid beginnings, today's supposedly more dignified proceedings have emerged. But there are competitors who haven't forgotten those origins.
Noddy.
Noddy.
More than 100 breeds of dog are widely available in Australia. All inspire fanatical devotion in their followers. Only a psychologist could explain why one man's Great Dane is another's toy poodle. Sometimes an animal's true merits are apparent only to the most discerning eye, and an unlikely appearance may mask a distinguished lineage.
Pulleys were used on the plains in Hungary to herd sheep, cattle, horses, and they're also used for police work in Hungary.
You'd think a coat like that would be a bit of a hindrance for a working dog.
Well, the shepherds used to keep them cut so far from the ground.
What sort of work is involved in getting the dog ready for a show?
Well, he needs to be bathed 2 days before a show because it takes that long for him to dry. Then his cords need to be separated at the skin. Then I sew back any little piece that may pull out from the cord because he has a habit of lying on his back and it tends to pull them out a little bit. And basically not much more.
Triangle, please.
It falls to the judge to pit Pekingese against poodle, Poolie against pointer, and pick out the finest example of four-legged fascination.
Well, I don't really know why one wants to be a judge. I suppose it's just an extension of your interest in animals, breeding animals, and so on, and exhibiting them. It's an extension of your sport. I suppose it's the same sort of process that football umpires go through, and you're probably just about as popular at times.
It's a dog-eat-dog world amongst some of the human handlers, and there's often more snapping and snarling above ground level than on it.
And judges have their own idiosyncrasies. Some are mouth maniacs, and some are movement freaks, and some are more concerned with coat and colour, and so on. And so you can't expect, even with the best dog, to win under everyone. But I think it's some people sort of go on an ego kick. They get a dog, and it's an extension of themselves, and they really like to win, and they're perhaps a bit kennel blind. And if they don't win on an occasion when they want to, they may get upset.
Nevertheless, a degree of what's politely described as ringcraft is accepted and indeed encouraged.
In its essence, handling's an art, and it's also a sport. And the idea is to exhibit all the good points very forcibly of your dog, and to minimise the bad ones. And consequently, you stand your dog up in a way that makes it look perfect, if possible. It's up to the judge to find a fault. That's the game, isn't it? And the judge should make sure that the handler moves the dog on a loose lead so that if there is a fault there, it'll show up. And the judge should know what they're looking at in movement.
There's not a crossbred in sight, but as with any activity involving money or prestige, there are a few human mongrels who take doggy determination to a vicious extreme. and exhibitors are exhorted to protect their pets.
Well, I personally, when I'm exhibiting, never leave my dog unattended. I think, well, there was an example at the Sydney Royal a few years ago where the dog that won Best in Show was an Australian Terrier, and it was actually poisoned the following day. And, you know, you do get examples like this. There's always sort of a rat bag element, I suppose, when race horses get nobbled, dogs get nobbled.
The proceedings in the ring are only the tail end of what may have been hours or even days of laborious preparation.
Yes, I was a fishing and a spaceship. I was a rolling and a strolling. Yeah, I was a moving and a grooving. We was a reeling with the feeling. It was a rolling and a strolling, moving with the grooving. Splish, splash, yeah, splishing and a splashing. One time I was splishing and a splashing. I was a moving and a grooving.
It may seem a very artificial existence for the average mutt, which would probably prefer to be scratching its fleas, chasing cars or snoozing by the fireside. But dogs have always exhibited extraordinary adaptability. Wherever man has ventured, dog has never been far behind. Sometimes, in fact, it's the dog that's done the pioneering. Long before Neil Armstrong's giant leap for mankind, a little Russian mongrel established a paw print in space for the canine race. While some dogs boldly seek new frontiers, others continue venerable traditions in some of the more inhospitable corners of planet Earth. The St. Bernard mountain dog has become a legend in the annals of canine courage, rescuing stranded travellers buried deep in snowdrifts. Bred for centuries in Swiss monasteries, the St. Bernard exemplifies everything that's meant when people talk about man's best friend. But sad to report, that friendship never really extended to bearing a flask of brandy to cheer the frostbitten fugitive. If there was any brandy, it was usually for the benefit of the monks. But in the sobriety of the show ring, there's no place for heroics. It's quite enough to be just a pretty face. And sometimes not even that.
Thank you.
At the end of the day, when the ribbons are handed out, it's hard to pick just who's the most delighted.
I love my dog as much as I love you. Though you may fade, my dog will always come through. All he asks from me is the food to give him strength. All he ever needs is love, and that he knows he'll get. So I love my dog as much as I love you. Though you may fade, my dog will always come through. All the pay I need comes to shining through his eyes. I don't need no gold to make me realize that I love my dog as much as I love you. Though you may fade, my dog will always come through. Na 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 na.
We imported the dog from America. We researched the dog for 3 years, and we imported him because of his lines, what he could do for the breed in the country.
What did he cost you to bring in?
Purchase price was $1,200 American, and in the country in our backyard was $12,000 Australian.
Why was it that much?
You're looking at an airfare for $2,500 just from England to Australia, and I haven't even left the country yet myself. My dogs travel more than I will ever do.
You must be very dedicated to showing. What do you get out of it?
I think the 3 minute time of the judge, that adrenaline pumping through the heart, it's a real good kick, you know.
Really, you really get that excited, do you?
You're shaking before you go in the ring, and then when you're in the ring, it's that much concentration. It's fabulous, you know.
What about when you don't win?
Well, we showed for 8 years before we got this dog, and we had a bitch that only got second for 12 months. It's still the same adrenaline, whether you win or lose. It's there, you know. It's fabulous, you know. And plus, I think the people you meet at a dog show, there's no distinction. Everyone's brought to the same level. You've got a dog, you want a show, fine. It's fabulous. It's a great day.
But a lot of exhibitors are very competitive, aren't they? A little bit of nastiness can creep in.
That's how would you say, that's live. Hey, there's politics in dog shows, it's sports, whatever sport. Hey, like, I'm not a McEnroe. I don't get that uptight that I'm going to go berserk with it, but like, I love it when I win, and I love everyone else to love me when I win. But when I lose, I love the person who wins as well. But as you say, you get the McEnroes who are only here to win, and that's it, bang.
9-5-2 is your best open.
Champion Desiree Silly Noddy has also scored a considerable triumph. He's finished the day in much better humour than he started it by picking up the Best in Show award.
Hold your tail up. Hey.
Well, you must be very pleased about that.
I'm very excited.
Did she put him in a bit of a better mood than he was at the beginning of the day?
Oh, yes. Makes him very happy when he wins.
Will you celebrate when you get home tonight?
For sure.
Any special treats for him?
Well, our dogs get special treats all the time. So every day's a special day for them because they're very special dogs.
Talking about a black dog. Talking about a rabbit dog. Talking about a coon dog. All them dogs. All them dogs. All them dogs. Lordy, lordy, all of them dogs. Well, talking about a white dog. Talking about a black dog. Talking about a kosher dog. All them dogs. All them dogs. All them dogs. Lordy, lordy, all of them dogs. All them dogs. Dogs, 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 dogs.